Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are live. And today on Mindset Monday, we want to kind of go over the current stuff that has been going on. It's been good to take a couple days to kind of take a step back and actually see all the information come in. Some of it is a lack of information, some of it is all the way off the deep end, and then there's always that part in the middle that kind of makes a lot of sense, right? So first, there is no, that was a horrible, horrible, tragic event that happened, and we lost one of the best political thinkers and actually political influencers you could imagine, because he was tolerant, he was patient, and he did have an ability to communicate to the youth, and ultimately his message was not one of division but of uniting. And he was a big champion for Jesus, right? A big mouthpiece for the Christian community and bringing people to God. And I think one of the by somebody assassinating Charlie Kirk, it's amplifying his message that much more. And I do think that the world needs that message amplified. And I do think that other people have to be able to develop the skill sets that Charlie had to be able to communicate those messages with the impact he did. And that's no easy task, right? He'd be able to sit across the table from somebody and talk and discuss, ideas that most people don't want to touch, while people were very emotional about it. And he was able to, one, calm them down, two, show them a level of respect that most others can't or don't or won't. And then three, you know, actually come to an agreement, or have that, or be the person that influenced them. And so the world lost a great man, a great husband, great father. And people have to pick up that slack. People have to pick up that slack, carry that message. I mean, if one of the cool things I've been looking, I think there was like 32,000 applications for Turning Point,
Yeah.
right, over the last 5 days. I've never seen more people post that, hey, I'm back in and I'm going to church again. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about, this is about good and evil. And it's always been about good and evil. It just takes time to unpeel or unwrap that onion and see what the layers are built of. Right, Dave, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, man. I mean, even just over the weekend, it's been pretty crazy. I know when you and I talked about before Financial Fitness Friday, it was like, hey, man, let some time cool down. Let's get some more facts. Let's see some more details. But also, I can't believe like some of the craziness over the last 2 days too, right? Like
Yeah.
there's really, really good positive things. Like you said, TP got 32,000, I think 1,100 more colleges and
Yep.
universities as well. It shows the impact that Charlie has had. And Charlie was one of, when I started diving deep into this around 2019, right? Like when we knew the world was kind of gonna go to shit. You didn't want to believe it, but you saw it's like, hey, COVID's gonna come around. There's gonna be some foolery. And I used to think I was all bullshit, right? Like, yeah, they're not
Mhm.
gonna shut the world down. Like, Andy, why are you changing MF CEO to realize like it's not? And you started to wake up a little bit. And Charlie was one of the first people that I followed in that. He was young, he was articulate, he had a different, he was almost like the outcast because that age group at that time was completely, kind of like with what you're seeing right now, like it was heavy in there. Nah, you're wrong. Like you guys are anti-vaxxers, you're killing people, but
Yep. Grandma
was,
killers, whatever they called it.
yeah, right. He had a calm demeanor about him. He always had respect. He always had facts to back up his talking points. And I was like, man, this kid's really sharp,
Yep.
really sharp. And I saw that. And I remember listening to that episode with Candace Owens with Joe Rogan, and it resurfaced the other day. And she said that back in 2018, like, hey, this Charlie Kirk kid, one day he's going to be in politics, whether he likes it or not. People are going to push for him to be in. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with. He's going to do a lot of good for this world. And you fast forward 7 years later, you start to see the good that he was doing. I mean, keep this in mind, guys. He's a lot of, and this is the shitty part about everything. You're going to see a sound bite. You're going to assume the worst. Everybody's talking all, oh, he's racist. He doesn't. That's insane, man. that just tells me that you guys really haven't done your homework and really looked into it. You know,
Absolutely.
it's kind of sickening, really, because this guy's traveled all over the world. He's done missions in other countries. You know, what have you done? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like that's my question to you. What have you done? What influence have you put on people? It doesn't matter, big, small, you know, right? Like what good and right things have you done?
Yeah.
And you know, it's just he's not in that political space per se. He's not a senator, he's not a congressman, he's never ran for office. He had world influence, you know, and it was pretty cool to see, like, you know, are a lot of these places verified that held vigils all over the world? A lot of them are, and who knows, some of them are yet to be
Yeah.
determined.
Australia, England, Ireland, like all over the place.
Right. And like that just goes to show you that one person, right? Like you see that energy and what could have been. I think the good thing out of it, man, is it's going to keep that vision, that Christian based vision alive to move forward because of the good that he has done. You know, and I also find it funny on the flip side because I saw a lot of this and I actually see people I know, it's disgusting. And there's somebody here locally who's getting slaughtered, bro. She is just she's gonna get the ringer thrown on her. But just all the disgusting, vile stuff. Now you're seeing all these people delete everything,
Yeah.
right? It's like, oh, it's freedom of speech. Listen, man, I want to get this out there. And this ain't right or left or anything because there's a lot of stuff going on. Jonathan and I were talking about that is right involved and it's shit. And if you guys think that any of that is good, that's a problem too.
Yeah. We'll get to that late in this episode.
Exactly. But, you know, the whole thing is you guys deleting stuff or running your mouth and freedom of speech. Well, listen, there are consequences, right? You guys slaughter people. You guys, and when I mean you guys that are.
Well, you have the freedom to say whatever you want,
Right.
but you don't have the freedom to say it without consequence.
Right. And you guys
have
been doing this to other people since 2008. You guys had a 10-year run of slaughtering people, calling them racist, calling them that's like, you know what I mean? Do I like it? No, I don't. But you know what? That pendulum is going to swing sometimes, man. And you have to keep an eye on what you do because there are consequences. You know, it happened to people 10 years ago, right? Like, especially when Trump was first running. Oh, it's racist. Oh, this guy, get this guy fired. And a lot of people lost their jobs over that. And now the pendulum's swinging, man. That I understand it tastes your own medicine, but like, I don't know, man. I got mixed feelings.
I actually see it as there's so many people that are disgusted with what their side has done that they actually are coming over and that we should welcome them. Because at the end of the day, again, this is not a right left. That's a divisive tactic. This is good versus evil. Okay. And that communist ideology is a problem. Right. I would also say that the more you look into this, like my first take on this was wrong. I thought it was a pro on the rooftop. I was absolutely wrong. However, there's a lot that doesn't make sense. A couple things that don't sit right with me. Okay. One, in no way, shape, or form should Ben Shapiro take over Turning Point.
Absolutely.
Should not happen. It needs to be a Christian influencer, not Ben Shapiro. Number two, some of the things that Netanyahu has came out and said are a little off. Okay. I do think that, and we'll never know the truth, but the fact that they said that you see him jumping off the roof, no gun. Yeah. So that means he if he had it on him, he had to disassemble it, put it in a backpack, and then he assembled it in the woods. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. No. The jet still doesn't make any sense. Why would a jet fly for 20 minutes, turn off its location, and then, disappear for an hour and then come right back? That doesn't make sense. There's a lot within the crowd that, they saw people running with the gun. I don't necessarily see that as, you have to stop and ask what that guy was doing here. But the guy that did say that he was the original shooter, he was Jewish. He made a distraction enough to at least have the original cops not pursue and lock down the area. Yeah. So there's a lot that just doesn't add up. And the more you look into it, the more it does feel like it was a foreign government that could have been involved. Okay. And again, that's ridiculous. And then to what Dave was saying, the things on the right, right? Nobody. They're talking about putting a bill together, okay, that would make it where you can lose your citizenship and if you criticize Israel, okay,
Yeah.
that is ridiculous. That is that's impeding on our First Amendment right of freedom of speech, and that shit would not be tolerated. And that's definitely not how you honor Charlie. So I hope that if that does come out, enough people rally behind it, fight it, and this way they know that will never, ever, ever be okay. Because I do think that our government is heavily influenced by foreign governments, and that needs to stop. There's no part of that that is okay, and that's why a lot of our tax dollars get funneled out and funneled back. Okay, and that is a big problem. And I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, you have to be able to see that. Okay. And by the way, both sides of the aisle are on the take. It's not one side or the other, but it needs to stop and it needs to stop now because that is probably the thing that is going to run us into the ground the fastest, either that or the debt. Okay. So those are just things that we have to clean up. We have to speak out against because if we don't, we're not going to have a chance to. Dave, you got anything? You got anything else on that?
Yeah. The other thing with Rubio, and I think other people, there's talks about that too, is if you are starting to make any political or extreme political kind of views or threats, or even what's going on with everybody right now, that, they'll come out and take your passport away, which I don't know, man. I think there's a fine line or a thin line with that too. Like, because
Yeah.
somebody has an opinion or a political opinion, like where does that stretch to? Right. Because usually it starts off as something small, then it gets bigger and it gets bigger and it gets bigger to where it's like, hey, hey, Marco Rubio sneezed. Right. All right. We're going to take your passport now.
I mean, I think it's too much as it is right now.
Of course, it shouldn't even be the way it is,
Yeah.
guys. Look look. When you have a different opinion, like you can't be like, "Oh, you're a right wing extremist." No, you're an American, man, for what's the best of this country. And you're going to call the bullshit out on both sides. Let's be real here, man. What has the Patriot Act ever done for this country? It hasn't done anything but spy on its own people. Okay, you could be in denial of that all you want. It hasn't done anything with terrorism. It's to keep us down and control us.
And then what about the Mund Act or whatever? So they're talking about repealing that, which they should. Okay.
Yeah.
And that basically made it legal for news stations to run propaganda. And so when you look at the state of where we are and why it's so divided and why everything seems left versus right, it's because Obama passed a bill that made it legal basically for the news to run propaganda. It doesn't have to be true. Okay. And back in the day, that would have been a problem. 2010, you couldn't do that.
Yeah.
2004, you couldn't do that. All of a sudden, you can do it. And now we have more chaos and division than ever. Well, that's what caused it, guys. So roll that back. Don't even think about stepping on the First Amendment in any way, shape, or form and call it a day. And I think that every single person in the country can agree with those two things. Right? That's very basic. So speak up, speak out against those. And you got anything else, or?
No, listen, just keep your eye, guys. Be more aware. If it's going to teach you more anything, be more aware. Whether I want to or not, my awareness has gone up. Definitely looking at some things, but you also got to have a really good
You're welcome.
skill. Yeah, thanks. Some critical thinking skills to dissect this apart, but to also ask questions. I mean, there's a lot of questions that I could say here, like, okay, like this kid, for example, right? Like they're saying he has a transgender girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, right? Okay, so where or what does that tie in? How true is that? Do we even know if that's a fact yet? Because apparently he's not talking. So then they said, hey, he's a right-wing extremist. Like, okay, like, all right, which is it, right? There's just too much like getting thrown out there, but and shout out, man, like, I don't, if you guys saw Erica Kirk's press conference, man, it was really touching. I am surprised and that she held it together the way she did, man. And it's just I think of the father standpoint, right? Like, my kids and stuff, man. It was, could she be the next? You know what I mean, to come up and lead this thing? I don't know.
I would take her over Ben Shapiro any day.
Yeah, might get canceled as to why, but but listen, in all fairness, it's not a shot at Ben Shapiro and his beliefs, but it's also the right thing, or maybe
Yeah,
it is beliefs, to be honest. I mean,
it is beliefs,
yeah,
and I'm okay saying it.
yeah, you
I don't
can't,
give a fuck.
Ben runs that side, keep that side over here, man.
That's okay, But listen, guys, we appreciate you. Catch us on Financial Fitness Friday. We'll bring back some cool things. Might go over cutting expenses. So we appreciate you guys. Share this with someone that needs to hear it, and we'll catch you on Friday.
Be great, y'all.